Not every storm that enters your life comes to bring destruction or chaos. Some storms arrive with a hidden blessing, not to tear apart your world, but to sweep away the dust, the clutter, and the illusions, so that the path ahead becomes clearer. In relationships especially, it is not always the loud warnings that wound us the most. Often, it is the subtle silences, the quiet signs, the almost invisible gestures that we overlook because our heart wants to believe otherwise. We see the red flags. Deep down, we recognize them. But fear whispers that we may never find love again. Loneliness convinces us to stay, even when staying hurts. Hope paints over the warning signs with a fragile coat of affection. We tell ourselves, they will change. Maybe I am just overreacting. Perhaps things will get better with time. Yet the deeper truth is this. Red flags are not random. They are the soul's gentle but persistent alarms. They are not only telling us to run away, but more importantly, to wake up, to become conscious, to guard the sanctuary of our peace before it slips away. So today, let us walk together into a conversation about 5 powerful red flags in relationships that we should never ignore. We'll explore them not only through grounded practical wisdom, but also through the timeless lens of Buddhist insight. Because wisdom is not about escaping life, but about learning to see it clearly. The first red flag: constant disrespect. Disrespect doesn't always shout. Sometimes it sneaks in quietly, dressed in sarcasm, wrapped in a joke, or hidden in an eye roll when you dare to express your heart. At first, you might dismiss it. It's nothing. Maybe I'm too sensitive. But over time, these small dismissals pile up like stones in your chest. You begin to shrink. You speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer feel heard. A relationship should be a garden where both voices grow freely, where both hearts are watered with respect. The Buddha once taught, "Speak only when your words are more beautiful than silence." If someone's words consistently cut you down, if their tone forces you to walk on eggshells, that is not love. That is erosion. And love cannot blossom where respect is absent. A person who truly sees you will never speak in a way that dims your inner light. The second red flag: emotional manipulation, disguised as love. Manipulation often wears the mask of care. It sounds like, "If you really loved me, you would do this," or, "After everything I've done for you, how dare you say no?" Sometimes it's not even words, but silence, withdrawal, used as punishment when you finally speak your needs. This is not love. This is control. Buddhism reminds us that suffering comes from craving and attachment. Emotional manipulation is born from a craving to control, to bend another person's will instead of allowing them the freedom to be themselves. Real love does not chain. It does not guilt. It does not demand repayment. It gives, it invites, it supports, and it understands. When someone turns your kindness into a bargaining chip, that's not love. It's emotional debt collection. And love should never feel like a loan you are forced to repay endlessly. The third red flag: inconsistency. Inconsistency is a quiet destroyer of peace. A partner may tell you, "You're everything to me," yet vanish when you truly need them. They promise the world, but forget even the smallest commitments. Their words live in one universe, and their actions live in another. But truth has a way of breaking through. The Buddha said, 3 things cannot be long hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. No matter how sweet the words, if the actions don't align, reality eventually reveals itself. Inconsistency breeds confusion, and confusion is the opposite of peace. Real love is not a puzzle to be solved. It is steady, it is lived, and it is shown. If you find yourself constantly decoding mixed signals, holding on to potential rather than reality, know this: potential is not a promise. It is only hope. And hope alone cannot sustain love. The fourth red flag: refusing emotional responsibility. A relationship becomes heavy when one person always refuses to own their emotions. They blame others for their struggles, defend themselves at every gentle confrontation, and never admit when they're wrong. In such a dynamic, arguments are never bridges to solutions. They are cycles of blame. Suddenly, you become the caretaker, the one always apologizing first, smoothing things over, even when you're the one hurt. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us the mind is the forerunner of all things. Without self-reflection, a person repeats the same wounds, passing them on like a cycle of suffering. Healthy love requires humility, a willingness to say, "I was wrong. I am still learning. Let's grow together." Without this, it's not a partnership. It's a performance where one person carries the emotional weight while the other hides from accountability. The fifth red flag: disturbance of inner peace. Sometimes the biggest warning sign is not what they say or do, but how the relationship makes you feel deep inside. Do you feel anxious more often than safe, drained instead of nourished, disconnected from your own self rather than supported in your growth? When love constantly pulls you away from balance, it is your soul whispering that something is not right. Buddhism teaches that peace is our natural state, but we lose it when we cling to what was never meant for us. If being with someone always unsettles your heart, if your nervous system is forever on alert, if you feel yourself disappearing piece by piece, listen to that inner voice. Sometimes the bravest, most loving choice is not to hold tighter, but to let go. As the wise saying goes, if it costs you your peace, it is far too expensive. Closing reflection. Red flags are not always painted in bold, obvious colors. They don't always show up through betrayal or shouting matches. More often, they arrive quietly, through unspoken words, crossed boundaries, and peace that slowly fades. You don't need permission to honor your intuition. You don't need a dramatic reason to choose peace. And you don't need to keep proving your worth to someone who cannot or will not see it. The Buddha once said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." So instead of endlessly pouring love into a cup with holes, begin giving that love back to yourself. Protect your peace, choose your clarity, and trust that in letting go of what weakens you, you make space for the love that strengthens you. If this message resonates, take a slow breath. Feel your heart soften. Remember, you are not alone. You are awakening. And if you wish to continue walking this path of clarity, compassion, and wisdom, I invite you to stay connected. Let us keep growing together.